bury hundreds of young girls who had allegedly been sexually assaulted or misbehaved with and then murdered. Now, the case started after the unknown man claimed that he was a former sanitation worker employed at the Lord Manjunatha shrine in Dharmasthala, and that he was forced to bury dead bodies of women and minor girls there. Now, he lodged a complaint with the police on the 3rd of June with some quote-unquote evidence, and a week later, he appeared before a court covered head to toe to conceal his identity to testify to the allegations he made in the complaint. He submitted some skeletal remains he claimed to have exhumed from one of the burial sites. Now, this masked man had alleged that he was forced to bury a large number of young women and minor girls after they were allegedly killed at Dharmasthala between 1995 and 2014, like I was mentioning. Now, following this, another complaint was filed by a woman whose daughter had gone missing while on a trip to the pilgrimage town of Dharmasthala. The Karnataka government ordered the formation of an SIT to probe on this matter around the 19th of July. The masked man who gave the SIT the locations of 13 burial sites, and the SIT started excavating those places. Now, as the SIT has excavated one after the other site, nothing has been found at those places. The skull that the man submitted at the court turned out to be belonging to a man. So, contrary to the claims that women and young girls had been buried there, and the skeletal remains across all the sites that have been dug up so far, only one skeleton remained, and that too that belongs to a man, and it's been almost near fully decomposed. Now, the skull was examined at 2 hospitals, and both the tests confirmed that it belonged to a man who died 30 years ago. Now, few bone fragments were found at only one place, and that too also belonged to another male. Now, some ID cards were found at another place that also belonged to a male who had reportedly clearly died of illness. Now, Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar has asked the BJP why was it silent when the allegations had first emerged. The BJP hit back at saying that the false propaganda was spread to defame the temple. Meanwhile, D.K. Shivkumar has said that the BJP thinks that Hinduism is their private property. The BJP countered, saying that if its intent was politics, party could have done that from day one. And the Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar saying the BJP needs Dharmasthala only for political gains. The BJP says it was a state government that allowed the fake propaganda to spread. Listen into this verbal war words.
ಬಹಳ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಷಡ್ಯಂತ್ರ ನಡೆದಿದೆ. ಇದೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಷಡ್ಯಂತ್ರ. ಇದು ನಾನು ಯಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಷಡ್ಯಂತ್ರನೇ. ವೆಲ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾನ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಪ್ಪು ಚುಕ್ಕಿ ತರಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾರ್ದು ಏನು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾರದೇ ಆಗಲಿ ತೇಜೋವಧೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ವರ್ಷಾನುಗಟ್ಟಲೆಯಿಂದ ನೂರಾರು ವರ್ಷ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಬಂದಂಥ ಪರಂಪರೆನ.
We did not do any politics. We kept quiet till the SIT started its investigation. Now, during the course of investigation, when there is a lot of false propaganda that has been carried out in the social media, why state government is keeping quiet? Is it not the responsibility of the state government to take up this matter immediately?
Let's go across to our guest, Dr. Sudha Halkai, spokesperson of the BJP, and Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst. Now, viewers, even as we open up this conversation, one has to understand perhaps the confluence of various offshoots of Sanatan Pratha is manifest at the Manjunatha Swami temple, which is supposedly about 800 years old. It's an 800-year-old temple, if not older. Interestingly, the presiding deity of the temple is Shiva. The archakas, or the main people who perform the daily rites and rituals of the temple and the prayers, are actually Madhva Brahmins who are Vaishnava. But the Dharmadikari, or the people who are supposed to be the operators of this temple and control the trust, are Jains, or they are Jain Bunts. So very interesting. And there are deities of Jain Tirthankaras also there. Also the Jain Rakshakas who are present at this temple. Very symbolic of a confluence of cultures after perhaps they have been in the past, we don't know, conflict with each other. But that's the story, and that's the beauty of this temple, which has often been maligned. Now, interestingly, there's another aspect of this, Dr. Sudha Halkai, which perhaps our viewers should understand, that there was a case of an alleged girl and an allegation that was made in around 2015 of a young girl, Sowjanya, who was claimed to have been assaulted and missing. And that case was thrown out and all the accused were let go of in 2023 because there was no evidence to prove otherwise. Soon after that, these conversations surfaced yet again that between 95 and 2014 girls have gone missing. And this person comes and makes the same allegation around the same time. Why is it that the SIT or the Karnataka government did not get into the details of who this person was, who these elements were, was there any truth to this, before going ahead and digging up about 50 tons of soil to get nothing? And that too at Dharmasthala.
Yeah, very good evening. Exactly, that is what I wanted to put in forth to our viewers as well. This is a tragic episode which was very well planned and plotted by the deep states, and this is very much biased and deliberate attempt by the Hindu phobia Congress, the urban nexus and urban nexus and the leftists. Now, my question is, why this person, the skull man or the masked man, whosoever he is, why he was not interrogated, why he was not, why investigation was not done, and why brain mapping was not done before going into such a big investigation? See, why I'm saying it biased is, we have seen earlier how the Congress government led by Mr. Siddaramaiah had eradicated the PFI cases, 750 PFI cases, and let go 1500 of the accused PFI persons. And here one unknown man comes and tell about all the story, which I don't want to narrate because everyone knows about it, and action is taken. We are not against taking the action, because if anything such thing has happened, it is a very sensitive issue. I being a woman, I particularly say that anything against a woman, yes, definitely investigation has to be done, no doubt about it. But immediate action is taken when an unknown person comes and tells, and no investigation, no interrogation, no brain mapping is done. But whereas the cases against the PFI people and others are eradicated immediately. The bomb blast people are called as my brothers, where here they dig tons of soil days together to eradicate whatever the Hindu sentiments are there. They're trying to absolutely, hurt the Hindu sentiments, not only in Karnataka, throughout India and throughout the world as well. Look at that person. He puts all these allegations and
no, and not just that.
SIT
See, the simple point is, you have made a lot of points. The question also, Sudha Alkai, that the opposition is asking is, why did the BJP keep quiet when these allegations surfaced? Nobody said anything.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's what. No. I'm telling. Let them tell why there was such a free hand given to all the YouTubers over here, to everybody, that whatever they felt they could put in the media. They could create any story. They could do anything. But when a BJP Karyakarta just puts one statement, he is arrested. He's arrested in such, and he is harassed so much that so many of the BJP Karyakartas have committed suicide. This is the action by the Congress government in Karnataka today. My question is, when it comes to the question of the integrity of the woman or the crime against the woman, we have to investigate. So we had kept quiet. We have not come into politics. The thing is, in the past few days, the culture, the heritage of the Hindus is so much maligned. They try to, absolutely spoil the sentiments of the Hindu devotees so much that it is unacceptable. Why did they do that? And this is not from now. The Hindu phobia is the culture of the Congress since Jawaharlal Nehru till date. And it was so very well scripted. Take it from Rahul Gandhi. 4 hours before only, Siddaramaiah had denied any investigation will be done. Then again a letter was given
whether
by
it is
the
phobia or misya, phobia is fear. Do they fear Hindus, or do they misya, that is hate Hindus? That's the other question.
Definitely. They're scared of the Hindus.
That's another point. But coming back to the objective part, Syed Asad Abbas, if I were to come to you and show that this is the skull that I have got at this burial ground and this belongs to, there are many skulls like this, these are all young innocent girls, what would be the first thing they would say? How do I know that this is the skull of a male or a female? How is it that the courts, the Home Minister, Mr. Parameshwara and his team, the SIT, the cops, never first investigated the skull that this man came out with the claim saying this is the thing? They have now discovered that it is a male.
That's a fair question, Anand Saab. The fact we need to understand, coming to the Congress government in power today, I've always believed if there is power, there is responsibility and there is accountability which needs to come through from the ruling dispensation here in my beautiful state of Karnataka. But the fact of the matter is, let us understand the same Bharatiya Janata Party, there has been a deafening silence from them when this investigation started until now. Absolutely nothing, pin drop silence. Now that 13 places were excavated, nothing was found. Very nicely, they want to politicize this issue. And they say Congress is Hindu hating.
Of course, not only
it is the
we.
beautiful. No,
Veerendra
Okay,
Heggade
Sudhaji, let him
also
let him
was
let him
silent, he
complete.
had welcomed it.
Sudhaji, please let him complete. He didn't interrupt you, so let him complete, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Anand Saab. The fact of the matter, it is the Vokkaligas, Lingayat, Kurubas, and several other Hindu brothers of mine, Hindu sisters of mine, and many other religion people came together and voted for Congress party. Ma'am, do you think you're alone Hindu? Siddaramaiah is not a Hindu. DK Shivakumar is not a Hindu. Parmeshwar is not a Hindu. It's very easy, ma'am, for you to selectively play the religion card. Let me tell you, Dinesh Gundu Rao, Honorable Minister and a Congress leader of Karnataka Congress here, has stated that this has nothing to do with the temple, nothing to do with the religion. If there is any criminal found to be this act, which is in the excavated areas, they will be taken as a culprit.
My simple point is, one minute. See, you make a point, Sayeda Siddhabas. And I've got nothing against G. Parmeshwara or Dinesh Gundu Rao, a lot of respect for all these leaders, yes. But had this been an allegation made on a Muslim graveyard or around a Muslim Qabristan or an area like that, what would have been done first? First up, one would have first have to see the antecedents of this person making the allegation. Also the skull or whatever that person's skeleton has shown, whether that belongs to a female, a young girl, or if it is a male, and if it is really the basis for this, would that due diligence not have been done?
Fair question.
Would that not have been done? Why didn't they do that in this case before they set up the SIT and said go ahead and start digging? And now you realize, oh, it was a male skeleton. And that too of somebody who had died 30 years ago because of illness.
Fair question. I welcome
That is because they want to malign the heritage of
Let
Karnataka.
him answer and then I'll come to you. Then
Ma'am, please do not interrupt, ma'am. Allow me to speak.
I have told her,
Please,
allow
thank
me
you,
to
ma'am.
do that.
Please.
You please make your point. Just go ahead.
Sir, she's already interrupted me.
I have
It
already
breaks my
told her.
articulation,
I have already
sir.
told her. Let me do my job.
Thank
You please go ahead and make your
please,
point.
yeah. Thank you. The fact is, you raise these questions. The fact, let us understand that the same Siddaramaiah Congress government, if they had not gone ahead and given protection to this masked man, or would not have set up the special investigation team, the people of BJP and the media people would have questioned who
Did
is
they
Siddaramaiah
do
trying
their
to protect?
due diligence?
Who is no, no, sir, sir, allow me
Did
10
they
seconds.
do their due
10 seconds
diligence,
to-
or did they
10
just
seconds,
jump to
sir.
a conclusion because there
10
were some
seconds.
left-leaning urban
allow
Naxal
me,
groups
sir.
or communist
Allow me,
groups,
sir.
etc., or rationalists who turned to came to
can I
try
just
and say,
complete?
oh,
30
if it is a Hindu temple and if it has
Thirty-
got to be
no, no,
Hindus
no.
involved, there has got
Can
to
I
be
answer
evidence
that?
because
I
he is
will
a
answer that.
sanitation
No.
worker there, so you have to listen to him.
No, sir.
Was the due
Every
diligence
single-
done?
Every single media, be it YouTube, be it mainstream media like yourself, were over the last 2 weeks running stories continuously on Dharmasthala, questioning the government, questioning the SIT. Had Siddaramaiah kept mum, had Siddaramaiah not ordered an investigation, all of you would have pinned the blame on YouTubers.
What?
Siddaramaiah.
No. So if you want, you take the YouTubers to court. I don't take responsibility for YouTubers. The government has to take responsibility
media
for
were
its
raising
action.
questions.
The Home Minister of the state, when somebody makes an allegation, has to do due diligence to ensure if there is to underline the veracity, and then say that hope that this person is not deliberately undermining the astha of crores of Hindus and also bringing bad repute and bad name to the Manjunatha Swami temple. Was that done
Nobody
before
brought
the
anything.
JCBs, the excavators, etc. were all employed to go ahead and start digging these sites?
Firstly,
Was it
nobody
done?
brought
Was
anything.
there
Nobody
spectral?
brought
No,
anything.
1 minute.
Nobody
There
brought
is
anything
open proof.
against the Hindus.
Syed Asad
No,
Abbas,
sir, don't
Syed
put
Asad Abbas,
religion here.
they want
BJP might
spectral
do
imaging.
politics.
Spectral
No.
imaging has to be done. Spectral imaging has to be done at Gyanwapi. But spectral imaging was not ordered here at Manjunatha Swami temple.
Sir,
Why?
you do the
Was there
spectral
any
imaging
imaging,
wherever you
infrared
want.
imaging that
You
was
bring
done?
in the Gyanwapi and this is
Infrared
no
imaging
problem.
that was done to
I'll just
ensure that
complete the
were there
point.
human remains in the soil
will
at all
complete the point.
before you
I
start
will com-
digging? Did they do
I
it?
will complete the point.
Did they do it?
No.
They said no, it's
Now-
temple ground, so it's kosher.
now the
Let's go ahead and
Bharatiya
just
Janata
start
Party-
digging.
The Bharatiya Janata Party has said urban Naxals, leftist ideology. Ma'am, are you saying all the journalism, the YouTubers, all the
Please,
mainstream
why don't you
journalism,
answer what the
100,000
anchor
people
has
who are
questioned
raising
you?
questions are
Why don't you
urban
answer
Where
what
is the
anchor
answer
has
to
Are
my
they
asked?
urban
question? Did
Naxals?
the government of the day do their due diligence and
Yeah.
did they see, can they look at evidence without going ahead and first going ahead and blindly digging at these spots? Who is going
will
to do
answer
the,
that.
no, you have, who this person really is, will they criminally charge him for false allegations? Yeah, and made,
investigation
or will they
team-
turn around
okay,
and say,
no,
oh,
no,
we
no.
jumped to a
I think
conclusion we shouldn't have
are
used spectral
jumping into
imaging?
conclusion, and I will answer. Can I get 30 seconds? Thank you, sir. The fact of the matter, the special investigation team has not yet submitted any final report. G. Parameshwar, the Home Minister of Karnataka, will shortly come with a press statement and he will address the press conference. Definitely, he is answerable to the questions coming front. But the fact of the matter
No.
is, the Bharatiya
It's not
Janata
answerable,
Party
sir.
is playing the religion card.
This is trying to say
Allow
we can
the-
get
allow
away.
the
We can
investigation
get
to
away
complete.
with defiling, desecrating a Hindu place of worship for whatever
No,
allegations
no,
are
no,
made
no.
without having
Which
proper
Hindu place
doing
of
due
worship was
diligence,
desecrated?
and we can just run riot and then
No,
say,
no,
oh,
sir.
sorry, kuch nahi mila.
Which
Oh,
Hindu
maybe
place
it
was
must be a
desecrated?
conspiracy. And then you have the
No.
chief minister and the deputy chief minister playing good cop and
Deputy
bad
chief
cop
minister.
between each other and
Which
think
Hindu
that
temple
Hindu
was
Asta is a
desecrated?
ping
Please
pong
tell
ball.
me.
You can just go ahead and keep tossing here and there. No, I'm
First,
just saying.
allow the-
I'm just
SIT
asking.
to
Say the
complete the
Sadabas.
report.
I say the Sadabas. Had this allegation been made around a Christian church or a Muslim Eidgah and the burial grounds, Kabristan or a graveyard there, you think anybody would have dared to do what they did with the Manjunatha Swami temple and without having imaging proof, without having concrete proof that, oh, we have to dig this place out, otherwise there is no other option.
Okay,
You think they would have done it?
Manjunatha Swami
No,
was
don't.
Manjunatha Swami
You have
temple
not. I have been
desecrated?
asking the same
No,
question to you
Yes
all
or no?
through, and you have not
Dharmasthala
answered me.
no.
There now 1 minute.
It's a
Now,
place,
Dr.
it's a
Sudhahalka, let
town.
me ask you this.
Not the temple.
When
So
when
be
the
it a
issue of
graveyard,
when
be
the
it a
issue
Eidgah, be it a
when the
church,
issue
if
when
there
the
are
issue
serious
1 minute now
allegations,
please yield.
it must be investigated.
Now please yield, Sayyid Asad. Now Dr. Sudhahalka, where was the BJP? Where were the BJP lawyers? Where were those people who should have stood up for the cause of the Manjunatha Swami temple, gone to the court and said, prove via spectral imaging that there are human remains under these burial sites? Why did nobody stand up and move court and say you cannot randomly order digging of a place? Why didn't they do it?
See, I'll tell you, being a responsible opposition, we were never against the SIT because this was a question of the missing women, what they had told. The masked man, what he had told, he had buried hundreds of women and young girls. This was a sensitive issue. There was Sowjanya's case as well. There was one more.
Did anybody,
allegation which was
ma'am
come on,
Sudhaji,
just
did
a
anybody
minute.
ask
Just
saying that
see
is
your
there
question,
proof
I'm
that this
answering.
skeleton
I
is of a
am
female?
answering.
Yes,
Sir,
Sudhaji.
I am answering. There was Ananya Bhatt also. There was one case of Ananya Bhatt, a girl missing who was a medical student also. They had given a complaint and they wanted to come up with a SIT. I am not against the SIT. My question is, why there were no rules against any YouTubers or any other television that this, until and unless the SIT is done, until and unless the report has come, it shouldn't be spoken about. No false propaganda has to be done regarding this. Why it was not done? Why there was no proper investigation, interrogation and brain mapping done of this person?
My question is, why did the BJP not insist that the skeleton that he claimed that he had found at the burial ground, the identity, the gender of that skeleton be identified, the age of that skeleton be identified? Why didn't the BJP first say, where is the concrete proof? Why didn't the BJP say, yes, go ahead and investigate, but before you desecrate those grounds, you first prove that there are human remains under those grounds?
1 second. Unlike these people, we never said the terrorists are our brothers. We never took their side saying that it is a
one minute.
It is a cylinder blast or anything. Whenever the terrorists, whenever
Cylinder
the bomb
blast.
One minute, Syed
unlike
Asad
the
Ahmed,
deputy CM and these people, unlike Neha Hiramed case, we have not told it is an accidental incident.
But you said that you will strive to protect Hindutva. You have said, right, as a party, you have said that you will strive to protect the temples of our country. You will strive to work for Hindu Astha. You will strive. Is that not what the BJP has claimed, ma'am? Am I saying wrong that the BJP has not claimed that? Has the BJP not said that they will work towards protecting Hindutva and Hinduness? The
Exactly,
culture
we
and
have
our
done
astha
it. We
astha
have
of
done
crores
it.
of devotees will never be allowed to be
100%,
trampled upon.
100%
Did the BJP do
we
its
have
job
done
by
it in
moving
case.
court and asking
Yes,
for
we
proper
have done
imaging
it.
and proper
We have
proof
done
before
it.
these grounds are burial grounds are touched? Is the BJP
See,
now in the form of 200 devotees planning a trip on Sunday? Is that how you are going to do post facto?
it
You are
is not
showing your devotion
politicizing.
to
Please,
Hindutva.
allow me to speak. Allow me to speak. We are the one who came up with the Ram Mandir after 500 years of struggle. We are the one who have come up
You are
with so
not the
much of
one,
Hindu
ma'am.
pilgrimage.
You are
Okay,
not the
I'll
one,
talk
ma'am.
about
You are not the
I'll
one.
talk
You
about
politicize
Dharmasthala.
that.
I'll talk about
I am
Dharmasthala.
saying you
No, we are
politicize
not
that. Those who
politicizing
fought the
it.
cases in the court were left to fight the case battle on their own. Ma'am, don't take credit for the work of others. You created a political. I am asking you, ma'am, in Karnataka, in Dakshina Kannada, a temple as prestigious and as Manjunatha Swami, a temple that is a proof, living proof of confluence of cultures and confluence of Sanatan faith, different offshoots of Sanatan faith. Did the BJP stand up to defend its cause as it claims to defend, or did it wait and see, "Arey, kuch mil gaya to, what will we do? Nahi mila to, what will we do?"
Can I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
अरे मैं कुछ बात करने के लिए आप छोड़ेंगे मुझे? See, there were our spokespersons who have spoken in the Kannada local channels, in the regional channels, that there is no such thing. They are trying to malign the image of the Dharmasthala, and openly on the first day only they have spoken. What was the result? They told that on the name of religion, they don't want to catch any of the people who are involved with such things. They are only bothered about the religion. They are not bothered about the innocent women. They are not bothered about the girls. So many missing girls. This is what BJP is. For that sake, we had to keep quiet. Let the SIT take its own course of action. On the first day only we have spoken. First day, second day, definitely it was spoken. Our BJP spokesperson have spoken regarding that.
No,
we have spoken. We have raised a big voice. Then we were told, we shouldn't be biased. They told that, we have to take care of the women and the elders.
Please understand, I have nothing against either Syed Asad Abbas or you. In Ram Mandir case, what did you say? You took action. In the Manjunatha Swami case, what did you say? We spoke. You see the difference?
See,
You see the difference,
in Manjunath's case.
You see the difference, ma'am?
No.
Ma'am, my thing is, if you seriously claim to walk the talk on Hindutva, then you have to walk the talk on Hindutva. You can't just talk the talk on Hindutva. In this case, there were questions that should have been asked of the Chief Minister, of the Home Minister, of the SIT, and there should have been arguments placed in front of the courts, which truly, if the BJP was serious about it, should have ensured.
Absolutely. This is a plotted episode. We have told our leaders.
Were you able to procure an injunction from the court saying that the SIT cannot dig these grounds till the time they can visually prove that there are human remains buried 10 feet, 15 feet below the ground? There was no movement.
See, this was the letter
it was not happening.
given by the
Ma'am, I have to break away. I
They
thank you,
were
Dr.
so
Sudha. I thank you, Dr. Sudhalka and Syed Asad Abbas. Moving away to big news coming through, news pictures coming through. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has met our Gagan Yatri, Shubhanshu Shukla, at Lok Kalyan Marg, 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. These are pictures of Shubhanshu Shukla explaining to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also presenting him the Tiranga that he took with him, and of course some of the experiments that he had conducted. We'll see if there is audio to these visuals. Do we have audio to these pictures? We'll try and play that. All right, so far these pictures have been launched or issued without any audio. There he is. He is showing the various constellations, a pat on the back from the Prime Minister, and very clearly giving him a warm hug, pulling him towards him, giving him a pat on the back and making him walk towards inside, and then to have a conversation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting Shubhanshu Shukla, Bharat's Gagan Yatri, the first Indian to land and dock at the International Space Station. A lot of gifts that he has brought back. I think the tricolor that he took with him to space, he's brought back, and also making a presentation and showing him perhaps some of the experiments that he's done, and gifting him an image. Let's go across to Aman for more now. That looks like the Milky Way and the various galaxies, that constellations that he's pointed out, where he was, where they were located. Yes, Aman.
Well, yes, Anand, Shubhanshu Shukla has met the Prime Minister, as his visuals on the screen show, and he was just back in India last night, and he's met the Prime Minister, and this was expected. And today in the Parliament also, Anand, we saw that the discussion was happening on the excellence of Shubhanshu Shukla, and he's I would say a very, very prized man in India right now, because he's not only India's first man in space on the ISS, but he will also be a part of India's Gaganyaan mission. He'll be one of the pilots on the Gaganyaan mission, which takes off in 2027-28. So he's back in India. He's meeting the Prime Minister. He's also expected to go back to his hometown, Lucknow, to meet his parents before he'll be back in Delhi on the 23rd. When we'll be celebrating the Space Day. This was the day Chandrayaan-3 had landed, so the second Space Day, and Shubhanshu Shukla will be there along with the other astronauts who are a part of the Gaganyaan mission, who have been undergoing training. They all will be present at Bharat Mandapam on the 23rd, and you can see these warm visuals where the Prime Minister gave Shubhanshu Shukla a hug and his hand on Shubhanshu Shukla's shoulders while he was going out, and Shubhanshu Shukla also showing, as you were mentioning, some of the experiments that he carried out while he was on the ISS, and he's made the Prime Minister aware of his time on the ISS and what all he saw in those 2 weeks which he spent on the ISS last month.
Well, do we know how long was this meeting and this conversation, Amar?
We don't know that, but I believe it was stretched close to 30 minutes. The Prime Minister spent a lot of time with Shubhanshu Shukla, and the Prime Minister, we are told also, was very inquisitive because this is our first, Indian in space, and the time he spent on the ISS, the Prime Minister also has a lot of interest in space exploration matters. So I think Shubhanshu Shukla also holding that tricolor, which he had carried with himself to the ISS.
Yes, and I think he's enjoying the conversation and the interaction very clearly. The cameras all around capturing these moments from multiple angles, but the intensity of the conversation and what he was trying to explain itself seen. The warm hug and the congratulations itself shows how much Shubhanshu's achievement means for Bharat. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressing the pride that we feel in seeing such an able officer carry the tricolor all the way up to the ISS is just brilliant. And there were some moments of laughter, some smiles and some interactions, and Shubhanshu himself has expressed the pride that he felt that the tricolor is now in space at the International Space Station. Now, the target that the Prime Minister has set for our country is for Bharat to have its own International Space Station very soon in the near future. A tall ask, but doable, is what he believes that the nation's talent can do, the nation's space scientists, researchers can do, and Shubhanshu's experience should take us a long way forward in that direction.
Can you hear me?
Let's get a move on here on the right stand. Ahead of the Trump-Zelensky meeting in Washington, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi is in Bharat. And it's all happening through today, this Monday. In a crucial meeting with the Chinese Foreign Minister, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that both nations now seek to move ahead after a difficult period in bilateral ties. EAM Dr. Jaishankar underlined that combating terrorism in all forms remains a top priority for Bharat. The bilateral ties hit rock bottom following the deadly Galwan Valley clashes in April 2020. After nearly 4 years, PM Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping met in the Russian city of Kazan on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in October in 2024, reviving various dialogue mechanisms between the two sides. Now listen in to what Dr. Jaishankar said just as the two sat down to meet.
Excellency, I welcome you and your delegation to India at the start of your visit for the 24th round of talks between the special representatives of India and China. This is also the first visit by a Chinese minister since our leaders met in Kazan in October 2024. This occasion provides us an opportunity to meet and review our bilateral ties. It is also an appropriate time to exchange views on the global situation and some issues of mutual interest. Having seen a difficult period in our relationship, Excellency, our two nations now seek to move ahead. This requires a candid and constructive approach from both sides. In that endeavor, we must be guided by the three mutuals: mutual respect, mutual sensitivity, and mutual interest. Differences must not become disputes, nor competition conflict. Today, our talks will cover economic and trade issues, pilgrimages, people-to-people contacts, river data sharing, border trade, connectivity, and bilateral exchanges. I would like to follow up on some particular concerns that I had brought up with you, Excellency, when I visited China in July. You, Excellency, will also be discussing, border issues with our Special Representative, National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, tomorrow. This is very important because the basis for any positive momentum in our ties is the ability to jointly maintain peace and tranquility in the border areas. It is also essential that the de-escalation process move forward. Excellency, when the world's two largest nations meet, it is natural that the international situation will be discussed. We seek a fair, balanced, and multipolar world order, including a multipolar Asia. Reform multilateralism is also the call of the day. In the current environment, there is clearly the imperative of maintaining and enhancing stability in the global economy as well. The fight against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations is another major priority. I look forward to our exchange of views. Overall, it is our expectation that our discussions would contribute to building a stable, cooperative, and forward-looking relationship between India and China, one that serves both our interests and addresses our concerns. You are visiting India, Excellency, shortly before the SCO summit that China is hosting in Tianjin. We have worked closely with the Chinese side during its presidency. We wish you a successful summit with strong outcomes and decisions. Once again, a warm welcome to India, and I look forward to hearing your opening remarks.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently engaged in a telephonic conversation with Russia President Vladimir Putin, and during this call, Vladimir Putin shared insights from his recent meeting with US President Donald Trump in Alaska. And this discussion occurred shortly after PM Modi exchanged Independence Day greetings with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, on social media platform X, PM Modi expressed gratitude to President Putin for the phone call. He mentioned, "Thank my friend President Putin for his phone call and for sharing insights on his recent meeting with President Trump in Alaska. India has consistently called for a peaceful resolution of the Ukraine conflict and supports all efforts in this regard. I look forward to our continued exchanges in the days to come." Let's go across to our guest, Lieutenant General D.B. Pandey, former GOC 15 Corps of the Indian Army. With us, Ambassador Deepak Voda, former diplomat with us, Andrew K.P. Leung, China strategist with us, and Professor Andrew A. Latham, international relations expert, and Professor Macalester College with us. My namaste to everybody. Greetings. Thank you for your time. Ambassador Deepak Voda, how would you read into Prime Minister Narendra Modi's conversation with both President Zelensky and President Putin, and then dovetail that to what Ambassador Jaishankar expressed in those opening remarks in that meeting, delegation level conversation with his counterpart, China counterpart?
Thank you very much, sir. Always a privilege, a pleasure to be with you with such outstanding panelists. I see General Saab, I see other experts. I'm no match for them, but thank you nevertheless to be on your amazing channel and to listen to you. First of all, the meetings that we had with the President of Ukraine and with the President of Russia, we were the only country to talk to both of them. It did not work because I don't believe that at that point of time the Ukrainian was interested in a peace deal. China even had a peace plan for that area. It didn't work. It flopped. Everybody and his grandmother had a peace plan, but Shri Zelensky was not interested. Now, as far as the bilateral relationship between India and China is concerned, you just talked about it. It hinges on two T's. T. The first T is territorial. You have to get out of the areas that you have taken. We have to define the border, etc. The second is terrorism. Give up your affection for terrorism, as we see in what you are doing in Pakistan. These are the two T's that are a big challenge for us, and the External Affairs Minister has made it very clear. May I just add, sir, we are very privileged to have a former outstanding diplomat as our External Affairs Minister who understands diplomacy better than anybody else in the universe. May I also add that I have seen Chinese arrogance grow We are dealing with them now because a certain Shri Donald Trump is pushing us in Brazil and China and Russia, etc. together. It's not Cold War 2.0, it's a rebalancing that we are seeing. But I understand, and I do believe personally, sir, that American arrogance, as exemplified by Shri Donald Trump, was being matched by Chinese arrogance. Chinese arrogance has declined a great deal. I'm sorry if I'm hurting anybody, but we are now seeing that the world is coming to terms with itself. Geopolitics has gone out the back door. What we have today is geoeconomics. Trump can make all the European leaders wait in the anteroom while he gives a dressing down to Zelensky. The reality is, sir, that while President Zelensky is there, forget about peace in Ukraine. The moment there is a ceasefire deal or peace, Zelensky will be on the next flight somewhere to open a nightclub and do whatever he has to, sir. This is my conviction after 52 years in diplomacy. If I've hurt anybody, once again, sir, I seek your forgiveness.
No, everybody is open to, and welcome to make their candid expression of thoughts and points of view. And we are looking at somewhere it's all boiling down to what's been told 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that there has to be a land swap. And perhaps Zelensky, after billions of dollars and also so much of war being brought upon the Ukrainian soil, whoever you'd want to blame, he is the president of the country and he should have seen the rationale there. So there is a school of thought which says that those talks which were derailed because of Boris Johnson and Zelensky himself 3-4 years back should have not been derailed and the outcomes would have been different. President Trump himself tweeted to that effect and said that's where it's boiling up to or building down to. Building up to, beg your pardon. But General Pandey, what is India's role here? Is there also this play? Do you read this? That Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also coming out and saying, we are also talking to everyone. Donald Trump is not the only person. And we can also stitch up alliances and we can also mend fences with foes if that's what you want us to do, if you push us to a corner.
So actually, Anand, I think as usual, Deepak ji has actually said almost everything what is required to be said. But let me just quickly add a couple of things. One is that I don't want to say, it may look in your cheek and tongue-in-the-cheek statement that US power has been declining for last about 3 decades worth, right? Whatever reasons maybe. The Chinese power has been on the rise. We need to accept that. But somewhere when this clash has taken place, possibly there was a pivot to balance, which is called India, Brazil, and maybe Russia, which was there, to balance this. And this transition which will take place between the two to come out between China and US as 2 major powers in the time, there will be a multipolar world. We may not like it. The Chinese may not like it. The Americans may not like it, because eventually, after all, it has to happen, right? The transition will take place. 200 years or 100 years of a monolithic world is good enough. And the time of 1.4 billion plus 1.4 billion has not surely arrived. But please listen to the essence which he talked of, 2 T's, and I just want to add another one. The current civilizational thing which is happening are on 3 T's, and the 3rd T has been added in last about half a century. One is trade and second is territorial, right? Terror got added as a part of a controlling trade and territorial, both by technically it's been added by the Americans, actually not by anybody else in last this thing to control countries. I'll not get into it. But culturally, there is only one country which has been a stable, honest path is Bharat for last about 80 years, telling that we don't have any of this. We want just goodness for our people. So this polarization which is happening, and last about at least a decade and a half, at least Prime Minister Modi when he came, even before the previous government, there was a huge amount of engagement which was taking with America, right, US. And unfortunately, and I don't know, I had great respect for Trump. I continue to have a great respect for Trump, and I am extremely fond of Americans. But something has gone wrong in that deep state thinking that you can push 1.4 billion leader, something like what he did to Zelensky in an open chat, or South African president, you can talk him down, or you can use Pakistan as a play in this game in terms of economics, in terms of all those stuff. You can't. We are a civilization. China is a civilization. You just can't push these 2 countries around the way you want to. And we are not 70 years back into the ashes left by the colonial waste. We are quite capable of managing it. The other part which you have to understand, look at Russia, look at Iran, look at North Korea. Sanctions don't work. Tariffs don't work. The good part of tariff is it changes a country to become much more stronger on its own. Iran has been able to do everything which is possible in its capacity to be where it is. Right? If you had been engaging with Iran possibly positively, such a situation would have not come to Iran. Similarly, when you push India into one corner, we will ensure that we are not anymore reliant onto the Western tools and travels which have been always ongoing. So don't push us to a corner by talking of tariff and making noises which are not very correct. So it may be sounding, and today's in social media world, in the media world, which is transparent, you tweet something, it causes polarization within the country of this target. So when you tweet 25 times and you speak 27, 30 times a lie, that India, US has brokered ceasefire, and yesterday, very strangely, somebody came out, and we need to watch ceasefire very carefully every day. One is not able to watch your own backyard. You can't watch India and Pakistan managing ceasefire. India is very, very capable of managing ceasefire, right? So when you're getting schooled and educated, you can't push around a person like Modi who's heading 1.4 billion prestige. And when you make such tweets, it has got polarization effect. It will push. You imagine that Pahalgam response came out not because possibly Prime Minister Modi wanted. It came out from the desire of the media, through media, that you need to take this badla from Pakistan come what may. Today, media is very, very powerful. So you need to be very, very sensible in what today there's a polarization happening. And I think India is doing the best, and what Jaishankar has said very clearly. And China, I think if China is smart, the travails which they have today, if they are able to actually manage, what is the challenge with India? Territorial. Right. Nothing else. You just change your tone, tenor, resolve a little bit. You imagine two giants can actually do trade within yourself. Something like what was happening 1,000 years back. Right. It'll be back to the case. Thank you.
What amazing points that have come from the India perspective. We've got two Andrews here, Professor Andrew and Andrew K.P. Leung. So the American point of view and also the Chinese point of view, the China point of view. So I'm going to ask Andrew K.P. Leung and then Professor Andrew I'll come to you towards the end. So you get the summary of the Asian region and then we get the American perspective out and then we take the conversation forward. Yes, Andrew K.P. Leung, this aspect of territorial issues, can the Chinese establishment turn around and play down the expansionist designs? That's the biggest concern from the Indian side. Yeah, have they wisened up to that? What do you see fructify over the next 10, 12 days?
I think the big elephant in the room is not territorial disputes which have been going on between these two countries for a long, long time. Nor terrorism, again, has been on the agenda for many, many years. The elephant in the room, of course, is President Trump's current iconoclasm, destroying the rule-based order, throwing the American-led liberal world order almost out of the window, and replace it by unilateralism, imposing tariffs on traditional American allies and friends like India and, of course, the European Union, and not least, of course, is China. So I think that these India and China are not so much pulled together as pushed together, closer together. Not that they are forming a bloc against the United States, but because I don't think that India in particular wants to make an enemy of the United States, and for that matter, China neither. But I think that they're both countries, and of course, along with the European Unions and other allies and non-allies together, are recalibrating their relationship towards other partners, China, including India and the Global South, and likewise India. So I think that we are seeing a total recalibration of international relations across the group as a result of what President Trump is doing with this American first unilateralism. That's what we're seeing, and I think that this is unlikely to change in the short term. And I think that both India and China have lots of areas in common to seek areas of cooperation. But this doesn't mean that they would give in on the mutual claims on territory. Neither country is likely to concede, but I think that those differences on territory are likely to be set aside for the time being, and both are trying to de-escalate the tensions, and both are trying to seek areas of cooperation, and in particular, in how to recalibrate the new mutual relationship in face of a much changed world order.
Right. So there will be the trust deficit that will continue to remain, but despite the trust deficit, there will be a bridge that will make, saying that we'll continue to work with each other while we watch each other like hawks. Is that possible? Where do you think this shifting sands of geopolitics move? Which way is the wind blowing? Is there a method to Donald Trump's madness? Professor Andrew Latham, thank you for your patience. Your thoughts now, sir.
Well, I think there is a method to his madness, although madness is certainly at play here. First, setting the stage, I think the rules-based international order was fraying and falling apart and fragmenting a long time before Donald Trump appeared on the stage.
Yeah.
How do I know this? It used to be called the liberal international order, and then about 10 years ago, we had to start calling it the rules-based international order. And the fact of the matter is, when you look at de-dollarization, many countries, especially in the global south, not India, but many countries turning their back on democracy and human rights and things like that, that order, which was constructed by the United States initially in 1945, but then really globalized at the end of the Cold War, that's gone. And Donald Trump understands that, which is why he's not playing the revitalized multilateral game. He's playing a game of reconstructing world order around bilateral relations with the U.S., a hub and spoke arrangement, as it were. I think he's mistaken in terms of his strategy, but that's clearly his strategy based on his reading of this new multipolar world. And by the way, it needs to be underscored here that India both has always played this game of this strategic game of multi-alignment, used to be called non-alignment, really effective pioneers. And I see India's grand strategy right now as of a piece with its grand strategy for since independence. Here's where Donald Trump really misses the changes that have taken place, the profound transformations. On the one hand, he gets it. On the other hand, he still thinks this is the unipolar moment, when the United States is at the center of the universe and everybody has to knuckle under to the United States, i.e. Donald Trump's demands. Now, he's been emboldened in that misperception because the Japanese rolled over, the Europeans rolled over, the Indonesians, everybody has rolled over, except when he bumped into Prime Minister Modi in India. And then 1.4 billion said, well, I won't say what they said, but it wasn't flattering. Get on your bike, mate, and go home. And that has frustrated him in a way that I sometimes describe as him having a temper tantrum. I'm not sure. I've got two kids who once upon a time threw temper tantrums. I know what they look like, and this looks like that. I think ultimately, though, when I look at this multipolar order, this post-rules-based international order, as a kind of wild animal that Donald Trump is trying to ride, not very successfully, when we look at that, I'm afraid that I'm going to sound a discordant note here. We do see continuing conflicts, not just competition, but brewing conflicts, one of which is between India and China. And it's not just a border dispute, which in the long term has to be resolved, but in the short term, both have an interest in managing. And I think that issue will go to the back burner. It's been on the back burner for a while. But China has geopolitical pretensions befitting of a newly arisen great power. Look at the string of pearls. Look at the way in which it's tried to dominate the South China Sea, the saber rattling vis-a-vis Taiwan, all of which are complicated issues. But we shouldn't pretend that Donald Trump is the root of all evil here. He's one of the roots of all evil, to be sure, but he's not the sole. He doesn't own everything that's gone wrong with the international order. Other countries have their own interests at play. Lord Palmerston reminded us over a century ago that countries don't have permanent friends, but they do have permanent interests, and they will pursue those in the face of other countries' interests. Friction, competition, conflict, possibly war.
Fantastic. It's amazing how time flies when intelligent minds speak. And that's exactly what's happened, gents. And we'll look forward to taking this conversation forward into Tuesday post this Trump-Zelensky meeting. And of course, we'll also have the spillover of this conversation or the engagement between the two foreign ministers of Bharat and China. Thank you very much for your time. My namaste to everybody. And with that, we're going to call it a wrap on this edition of The Right Stand. Thank you for watching The Right Stand from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions. Namaste.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now, regarding exactly this story, following the phone call between the Defence Minister and Mallikarjun Kharge that we'd actually broken for you about an hour and a half ago, we're now learning that it is now being called nearly a courtesy call. Remember, initially when we'd broken this news with you, that the Defence Minister had made this call. It had seemed as if it was being made to ask whether the Congress wanted to extend their support. Seemingly, however, right now, during this call, what we're learning from sources is that the Defence Minister inquired about the opposition's plans to field their own candidate, whether or not they plan to do so. We'll have reporters joining us right now to bring us more context on it. We'll just wait a second till they join us. Our colleague Payal joins us right now. Payal, could you first tell us a little bit more about the context you've been able to gather around this phone call? Mallikarjun Kharge perhaps saying that they are going to be fielding a candidate. What do we have there?
Well, Mallikarjun Kharge, while he was entering Parliament, we did ask him, what was that courtesy call that he had with Rajnath Singh? He said it was merely a courtesy call. Rajnath Singh and him exchanged pleasantries. And Rajnath Singh also told him about the NDA's candidate. At the same time, asked him what was the plan of the opposition. Obviously seeking support of the opposition to build consensus as well. But Mallikarjun Kharge clearly said that he can't, make any commitments right now because he'll have to check with the other party leaders as well. So that's what we are given to understand. Also, Mallikarjun Kharge, the Congress president, did tell us that later in the day, there will be a meeting of the opposition party leaders, a smaller group, which will meet later in the evening, for which the coordination is being done by Mr. Jairam Ramesh. And, they will then decide whether they want to field a candidate, if at all, and, who that candidate will be and what will be the credentials of the candidate. But it is also learned that TMC is one party which has been vehemently pushing the opposition, saying they should not allow this to go uncontested. They should allow this contest to really happen and they should field a candidate as well. But, Mr. Rajnath Singh also has had a conversation with multiple other leaders, including DMK's MK Stalin. It will be important to see what the stand of the DMK really will be, because DMK cannot be seen as opposing a party leader, who's from their state. That's going to be quite a fix to watch out for, really. So we'll have to just wait and see what really happens, because phone calls will now start happening. JP Nadda also, while entering Parliament, did tell us that he'll have a conversation with a lot of leaders, including leaders in the opposition. But as of now, the big leaders have been called by Rajnath Singh. So we'll have to just wait and see how this conversation really goes, and who makes that phone call to Rahul Gandhi remains the most important fact.
Fascinating. And Payal, could we also ask you, since you can also walk us down the history lane, I believe in the last vice presidential election, it was actually the TMC that did not support the Congress's putting forth of Margaret Alva at that point. This time, the INDI putting out one united face. How are they going about it?
It is going to be one united face is what we are given to understand. But, like last time around, Toya, the stand that the neutral parties, the parties which do not fall into opposition or NDA, that will again be crucial. BJP might not have any MPs in the Lok Sabha, but they certainly have numbers in the Rajya Sabha. Or will they support the candidature? That remains to be seen. What will the YSR Congress really do? I'm given to understand that if the YSR Congress top leadership gets a call, they are pretty likely that they will be supporting the alliance as well. So it's a very, very play by the year kind of a moment we're waiting for. Depends on what candidate the opposition is able to put up. One thing is for sure that they will present a united front, because it's going to be a very, very important task in the current scenario where they are standing united against the government as far as the SIR issue is concerned. This is going to be one, test of the show of strength as well.
Thank you, Payal, for bringing us that context. Okay, moving on right now to related news. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh speaking over the phone with several opposition leaders, including the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister MK Stalin and Naveen Patnaik, seeking their support for the NDA's vice presidential candidate. Okay, we're just going to go over to reporters to understand more about this, but obviously all of this coming in after the NDA has decided to field the Maharashtra Governor C.P. Radhakrishnan as its candidate for the vice presidential election. Remember, C.P. Radhakrishnan hails from Tamil Nadu, which is why, as you can see on your screens and as we told you a little earlier, that call was made to M.K. Stalin. We'll just bring you more context as to who else has been called and what the strategy is. Remember, Radhakrishnan has also been a governor in Jharkhand. He is the current governor of Maharashtra. We'll just go over to our colleague Payal to understand a little bit more. Payal, bring us the context. You were already touching on this in the previous answer when you were telling us a little about the reaching out effort to M.K. Stalin. Tell us about who all have been reached out to and what their importance is beyond them just being opposition leaders and, in this case, obviously the chief minister of a key state.
Look, the whole idea of the government is to build consensus on the entire matter so that, there's one voice and one name that is doing the rounds as well. But will the opposition really agree? That remains to be seen. It's never the case as far as the last couple of times are really concerned. But, Naveen Patnaik holds a lot of importance in terms of seniority as an opposition leader. And he's not exactly opposition. The BJD has, in fact, voted on the BJP's support and has given support to BJP on a number of crucial bills in the past as well. But scenario is entirely different now after the Lok Sabha elections of 2024 and the assembly elections where the BJP is actually swept ground in Odisha. That remains to be seen. Of course, M.K. Stalin, another very senior leader and a very, very critical point as far as this is really concerned, because several leaders within the Tamil Nadu politics really feel that they should not be opposing a leader who hails from their state. So, will they be able to build consensus? Has there any confirmation which has come in? Because the DMK MPs on ground, at least don't seem to know which way they are going or what direction they are going. As of now, they're waiting for the directions to come in from Chennai. But, it's going to be difficult for them to oppose, a Gounder community leader, somebody who's been a state president, somebody who hails from the state. Opposing his or her candidate will be extremely difficult. Politically, some calls have to be taken. We have the elections to Tamil Nadu next year, and obviously MK Stalin's party is very wary of that. They do not want to be seen as a party which is closing up its ties with the BJP. That is one tight rope to walk on for. But several leaders and several ministers, in the government have been having informal chat with the DMK MPs, asking from them, what their stand really is. In fact, one MP from the DMK went on to tell the union ministers that it was a very good choice and they're very happy that a person from Tamil Nadu is getting this recognition.
Right.
But they're still awaiting for the response from Chennai to know what they're supposed to do.
Okay, to understand exactly that, let's go over now to our colleague Purnima Murli, who joins us on live right now. Purnima, if we could come over to you. Seemingly the DMK will have to walk this tightrope. On one side you have Tamil pride, on the other side it's continuing opposition to BJP RSS ideology. How are they going to do that? What do you know?
Well, DMK and senior leaders of the DMK remain tight-lipped, including Deputy Chief Minister Udayanidhi Stalin. They are yet to decide on what to do next, what to do now, because this seems to be a tough decision to make for the DMK. If they, even though they feel that yes, somebody from Tamil Nadu is getting recognized, while on the one side we talk about Tamil pride, on the other side, if they go ahead with the NDA's choice, then it will look like the DMK is leaning towards the BJP as well, and they don't want to be seen that way, which is why so far most of the senior leaders remain tight-lipped, and they are now waiting for the DMK president M.K. Stalin to decide on the next course.
CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions. One of the biggest summit meetings in the world between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin happened last week in Alaska.